Hello, John. We're going to take a look at your 5 characteristics of light posting here. So we'll go ahead and share screen. I think I scrolled pretty close to it. Here we are. And let's take a look. So the first thing that I do is just basically overview, kind of take a look at everything, see how you've done in terms of the posting itself, whether you've got everything kind of labeled, whether you have everything up there. So we got direction and intensity, you've got that labeled. I'm noticing you don't have intensity, you don't have the ratios in there. That's one of the things we were hoping to see. You do have your temperature. It looks like you were using temperature here, 80%, 40% fill. Oh, temperature, 80%. Oh, okay, I get you what you're putting in there. So you got temperature, and then you got contrast, plenty of contrast and hardness. So it looks like you have a bunch of there. However, it does appear you had some little bit of a trouble with your exposures, meaning these are obviously quite dark. It particularly on the hardness here. I mean, I probably don't have to explain that those are dark. So you know, that's something that can easily be corrected just by going back and adjusting your exposure. And the second experiment where we're working with the cameras will probably help you to make those kinds of corrections. One of the reasons we have the resubmission sort of in the syllabus, where you'll get a grade. Some students, you know, are like, well, I know there are certain things that I didn't quite get, and other students will see that they didn't finish something or whatever. And it's very, very easy for them to go back and revise the second time, because now you have the experience and you're going back into it. The resubmissions can happen, you know, all the way up into the end of the semester. I tend to encourage students to get those in before Thanksgiving, of course, so that it's not hanging over your head. Anyway, let's take a look into some of the images themselves, which again are pretty dark. However, let's see what we've got going on here. So what I'm seeing here, and you can probably tell, is here we have direction. Now, direction, what we want to be seeing is the shadows moving, because with direction, the light is moving around the table. Now, as I go from image number 1, we can see that the shadows are moving in this direction. It tells me the light is over here. Now I go to the next image, the light hasn't moved. Not only because I can tell that the light source is coming from here, but just by looking at the shadows, I can tell the light hasn't moved. Next one, light hasn't moved still. So we haven't moved the light yet. In this direction, we're supposed to be moving around. So I'm thinking perhaps you misunderstood the project, or at least the directions here. So we'll clarify that for you again, and hopefully get you, because it does not look like you moved the light. Here we got the light moved finally, a little bit forward. Here we're moving the light, maybe? No, not really. You've moved the light twice during the direction, so we'll definitely, excuse me, we'll definitely want to address that. Easy things to correct. So the direction is really all about moving that light around the various positions there. Moving into intensity, this is where we add the extra light source, and I can tell you have 2 light sources. I can tell we got one over here and one over here. Now the real emphasis here with intensity is to understand the ratio and the relationship between a key light and a fill light, the main light source, and any additional light that you use as a supplement, which the supplement is to illuminate the shadows just a bit, not to have them competing with each other. I don't know that you've got that going on, but the balance seems to be a little bit off. So I'm not exactly sure that we're getting that one fairly, you know, done very well either. It looks like you were struggling a little bit on this project so far. So we may want to sit down and kind of chat about some of the challenges that you had, and so I can give you some help and some advice on where to go next. Here you are altering the color of your imagery, but we look like we have one set of bones that you are making photographs of over and over. We moved a little bit around. That's okay. We're starting to move around the table here. That's better. We do want to get in there and do something other than make photographs of bones, though. Now, I know I've said that many times, but I want to be clear about what I'm talking about. Subject in a photograph is easy. Photography renders objects, meaning the things that we see in the world. A photograph renders the light bouncing off of those objects, which means that it sees it the way we see it. So making an object look like what it is with a photograph is not a challenge at all. That's not a lesson that we need to learn, how to make something look like what it is in a photograph. With drawing, that's rendering, and some people are good at making things look like real and others not. But with photographs, that's not an issue. So our actual issue is the opposite. Our issue is to circumvent and to subvert subject, is to get the audience to see something more than just what the objects are. So when I say I want you to do something other than make images of bones, what I want you to be looking at is what are the shapes, the tones, the values, textures of the objects that are in front of you, and how can you use those to create a dynamic composition? That's what I mean. In other words, don't make photographs of objects. Look at what those objects are doing and try to break them down into some basic design elements: shape, line, texture, tone, contrast, value. All of those things are the basic principles of composition, and that's what we're looking to do. The subject itself, what it is, that'll take care of itself. Photographs do that whether we want to or not. So that we don't have to worry about. So I don't want you to concentrate so much on these are bones. I don't even think it's important at this stage for students to even really be focusing too much on focus. I really want everybody to be looking at shape and essentially just concentrating on the light. So moving forward into, now we have a contrast, which is where we're using a reflectors. And let's see, we're not getting a whole lot of reflection going on here for your images. That's the reflectors where we're bouncing light from the key light into the scene. So the key light is one source, no other light source except for some sort of a card. Usually I had those white cards for you to use to bounce light back into the scene. I'm not sure that we're using that because I can't see evidence of it anywhere here. If it is, it's so subtle that you're not really getting the light redirected back into it very well. I see a little bit right in, maybe right in here a little bit, but it's not really showing very well. Not really doing the job here. I think, yeah, I really think maybe we need to revisit this project for you, because it looks like it gave you a real, quite a bit of trouble. And, that's okay. Meaning this isn't about doing things you're good at already. This is really about doing things that challenge you, doing things that you haven't done before, and learning from those. So doing a project and not quite working out for you, that's fine. That's why we have the resubmits. That's why I'm giving you this feedback. I want to help you to be able to see what we're trying to accomplish. It's really more about your learning than about the images themselves even. It's really more about, understanding that these principles will help you to create designs, not just with photography, but for everything else. These are principles that we're working on. So let's have a chat later on. I'll see you in the studio, and we can talk about how you can sort of make some corrections and get the project resubmitted after I give you these grades. All right, we'll see you in the studio. Bye-bye now.